In this guide, I'm going to be giving a brief overview of every weapon playable in the first Splatfest for Splatoon 3. I'll go over general traits of each weapon and provide some key stats. If you enjoy the video, please subscribe to the channel and leave a like or a comment. I have a lot more content planned, including more videos like this for the remainder of the weapons in the full game. Before I get started, I want to define the stats that I'm going to be using. So the stats I'm using are range. This is going to be the maximum range in meters that the weapon will deal any amount of damage. I define 1 meter as the distance between 2 hash marks on the test range. For some weapons, I also included a second range value for the maximum distance that the weapon will deal its highest damage. TTE is time to empty. This is how long in seconds it takes to completely empty your ink tank while constantly using your weapon. DPH is damage per hit. This is the damage for a single hit of the weapon. DPS is damage per second, which probably isn't going to matter in PvP too much, but that could be good to know for Salmon Run. TTK is time to kill. This is how long in seconds it takes the weapon to splat another player. I did include the startup animation frames while calculating these values, with a couple exceptions that I'll discuss when I get there. And lastly, charge is the time it takes to fully charge a weapon if it has a charge time. First up is the standard Splattershot. This is your classic all-around weapon. It's got a reasonable range, good TTK, it'll be consistent, predictable, and reliable. Splattershot's little brother, the Splattershot Jr, has a similar damage output in TTK, but sacrifices effective range for a wider ink spread. This will make landing shots on players more difficult, but the wide shot spread combined with the massive 21-second TTE makes this a great weapon for spreading ink in turf war. The Splattershot Pro goes in the other direction from the Junior, sacrificing ink spreading ability for consistent shots and high effective range for KOs. A TTE of about 7 seconds though means you'll be needing to refill your tank often. Gear perks to offset this could be a good option. On paper, the N-Zap 85 looks pretty similar to the Splattershot Jr, but a tighter shot spread, slightly increased range, and a slower rate of fire means hitting your optimal TTK will be much more consistent, but a TTE that's almost double the Splattershot Jr means you'll be refilling your ink a lot more often. The Aerospray has even more similarities to the Junior than the N-Zap does. Range, TTK, and shot spread are all roughly the same. The key difference is that the Aerospray has a higher rate of fire, that and a much faster TTE. The last of the standard automatic shooters is the 52 gal. The range for the 52 gal is a bit further than the Splattershot, but not as far as the Pro. But a beefy 52 damage per hit means you only need to land 2 hits to secure the splat with a lightning fast TTK of 0.22 seconds. The Dualies weapons are also automatic shooters, but they have 2 traits that set them apart from the pack. The first is that there are 2 target reticles because you're dual wielding, and the second is that they grant you the ability to dodge roll. The regular Splat Dualies have a range and spread similar to the N-Zap, but with a much faster rate of fire, leading to a better TTK. The Dark Tetra Dualies have a higher potential maximum range, but with a wider shot spread, hitting at those higher ranges won't be very consistent. With these, you're going to want to take advantage of the increased accuracy you get after a dodge roll. The Splatling weapons are also automatic shooters, kind of. Rather than holding down fire to shoot continuously, you have to hold down fire to charge, and when you release, the shooter will continuously fire for the duration of the charge. The heavy Splatling can hit at 9 meters and at 7 meters consistently. The charge time is 1.25 seconds, but once fully charged, it only takes 0.21 seconds to get a KO. With pre-charging, this weapon is a monster for splatting. The Hydra Splatling does exactly what the heavy Splatling does, but bigger and slower. It has the largest DPS in the game and the longest range for a non-sniper. The thing that holds it back is the huge 2.5 second charge time. Yeah, you could partially charge it, but that's also going to reduce the maximum range of the weapon. However, if you get good enough at pre-charging and land an ambush, you could potentially wipe a whole team with 1 charge. Moving on to the roller class, the first is the classic Splat Roller. The Splat Roller has 2 modes of use: flinging ink by tapping your fire button, or rolling ink by holding the button down. The Splat Roller could technically hit someone from 4 meters, but it's very inconsistent. 3 meters is where your ink swing will consistently connect. Starting from a neutral position, it takes 0.4 seconds to swing and hit someone for a one-hit KO. But if you're already rolling and you charge into a player, it's an instant KO. If you want massive ink spreading potential and a melee-focused combat style, this is your weapon. The Dynamo Roller is the Splat Roller's heftier big brother. Like the Splat Roller, it can instant KO by rolling into an opponent, but can also KO at range with its ink swing. The other upside is a wider spread of ink while rolling, but this thing is seriously slow. Wielding this will make your Octoling feel like an octogenarian. Rolling is more sluggish than the Splat Roller, and attacks are slow, with a single swing taking almost a full second. The Inkbrush is the nimble cousin of the Splat Roller. Much like the rollers, the brushes have two modes: tapping to swing the brush and fling ink, and holding to slide the brush along the ground. However, the Inkbrush sacrifices the wide area of ink coverage the rollers have in exchange for heightened mobility and a much more useful swinging attack. Do not try to ram into an enemy like with a roller though. Rather than instantly kill them, you'll do a measly 20 damage and slowly bounce off of them. The Octobrush is kind of a middle ground between the roller and the Inkbrush. It sacrifices some of the Inkbrush's mobility to gain some more ink spreading width. Its swing attack also has better range than the Inkbrush and can KO a negligible amount faster. Next, we have the sniping weapons. The first is the Splat Charger. It takes 0.91 seconds to fully charge, and when a fully charged shot connects, it's a one-hit KO. The TTK of 0.91 seconds could theoretically be faster with good pre-charging or partial charges. Uncharged shots have a range of about 4 meters, and within this range, it's actually faster to land a KO with 3 uncharged shots than to fully charge. The E-Liter 4K is the longest range weapon that I've tested so far, with a whopping 13 meters for a fully charged shot. The charge does take almost a second and a half though, so pre-charging is very beneficial. If you want maximum range and accuracy for splatting, the Splat Charger and especially the E-Liter are unmatched. I did also test both scoped variants of the sniper, and despite the in-game stats showing increased range, I found no discernible difference in the effective ranges, damage, or fire rates for the scoped weapons, with the sub and special weapons being the same across the standard and scoped versions. Only pick these if you like that zoom in effect. If you don't like it, then the standard versions are functionally the same. The Tri-Stringer is the first of the new stringer weapon type. It functions like the snipers, but rather than a single shot, it fires 3 exploding bolts when charged. Each bolt deals 30 damage uncharged and 35 damage charged. The furthest range I managed to get a one-hit KO from was 10 meters. The shots fire in an arc, so you could potentially get some cheeky KOs firing over cover. Another nice perk of the charged shots is the explosion damage. If your shot doesn't connect, the explosion can deal 56 damage or 84 if it's close enough to the enemy. The uncharged shots, though, are pretty situational. At any kind of range, only one of the 3 bolts will hit, requiring you to make 4 shots to KO, which is slower than just fully charging a shot. I could only get 2 bolts to hit by physically touching the training dummy, but could never get 3 hit. The sloshers are burst-style weapons that fling ink with each throw. The regular slosher has a good range of 6.5 meters that actually beats out most of the auto-style weapons. Another perk of the slosher is that damage values do not fall off at range. Every hit will always do a consistent amount of damage. The Tri-Slosher sacrifices some of the range of the slosher for an increased throwing speed, leading to a faster TTK. Outside of that, they're largely similar, so the rest of the kits will likely be a deciding factor between the two. The Brella weapons are essentially shotguns with a mobile riot shield. Tap the fire button to fire a burst of ink, hold it down to open the umbrella like a shield, and hold it down even longer to eventually fire the umbrella shield forward, which will travel a good distance, spreading ink along the way. Damage for these weapons depend on how many hits of the burst land. Landing all hits with the Splat Brella results in 81 damage, requiring 2 shots to KO minimum. The Tenta Brella is a bit slower than the Splat Brella, but has a wider umbrella shield, more range, and more damage. Landing all shots of the Tenta Brella's burst results in a one-hit KO. This can consistently be achieved at a range of 3 meters. A 2-hit KO can consistently be achieved at 5 meters, and the shots seem to max out at 6 meters. Blasters shoot a ball of ink that detonates after traveling a certain distance. A direct hit will net a one-hit KO, and an indirect hit will require a follow-up shot. The one-hit KO range is 4 meters, and the max range is 5.5 meters. The Luna Blaster trades its range for an increased fire rate and a larger blast. One-hit KO range for the Luna Blaster is 3 meters, and 4.5 meters is the max range. Lastly, we have the first Splatana class weapon, the Splatana Wiper. It has 2 attacks, a quick horizontal swipe by tapping the fire button, and a stronger vertical swipe by holding down fire for a split second. Each swing can deal damage with both the ink shot and the melee hit of the wiper motion. The melee hit of the vertical slash is a one-hit KO and can even lunge towards the target. And that's all I've got for you so far. Thanks so much for watching, and be on the lookout for the next part where I go through every weapon in the full game of Splatoon 3. And you didn't forget to subscribe, did you? Remember when I said that earlier? I meant that. I'd really like for you to do that. So go on. Go on. There you go. All right, bye.